Okay, what you see here is my 1995 RVF 400, also known as an NC35. It's the baby brother of the RC45 racer. Let's see, it's a dual overhead cam, 16 valve V4, and kind of what makes it unique is the gear-driven overhead cams as opposed to chain-driven. I've owned this bike for about a year. What I did was I was in the market to buy a bike that I absolutely couldn't get in the US, and RVFs, VFRs, and NSRs are things you can get here in Korea that you can't get in the US. I went out looking for the very best one I could find in Korea, and I bought it, and it still needed work. Finding a nice one of these, about like finding a nice 65 GTO in 1982. Everything's been run hard. Since I've owned it, it's had new throttle cable, the 2-cable type, clutch cable, choke cable, stator, carb synced, miscellaneous body work. I have extra body work for it, a tail section and a right side. Also, you'll notice that the ram air ducts, I don't have them on right now, but I have them. They're not entirely functional as they just ram air into the top of the gas tank. So I let those sit. 20,000 kilometers, I believe that's right. This bike still has some blemishes on it. You can see the exhaust is scraped. There's a weld in the case on the right side. Some Nimrod clamped the forks too tight when they were replacing seals. But it's a neat bike. They're 59 horsepower, which is what they were limited to there in Japan, and they're a lot of fun. Man, this thing handles. It handles well. I'm a little under 5'11", and I used to ride it an hour and a half each way between Cheongju and Iksan. I'm in South Korea, and I'd have to stand up once or twice. So if you're over 6 feet tall, this probably is not the bike for you. I'll start it up so you can hear it. They've got a unique sound that those gear-driven overhead cams. I'll let it idle for a second. It's cold, and I've got the idle set slow at about 1250 because the carbs sit between that V4. You use the idle adjustment a bit. I love this bike. This is my favorite bike in the whole world. I've probably owned 15 or 16 bikes, but I've got to sell it because I'm leaving Korea. In the US, people want an insane amount for these because you can't get them. A few people race them in Australia and in England. You find these occasionally on Craigslist. There's an insane guy in Florida who wants $7,800 for one, and then there's kind of an Ignuts in South Carolina that lists one for $10,500 every so often because they're titled. I'd like to get 4 million Korean won out of this one. You can find trashed versions for about 3,200,000, but this is a nice one. It handles great. You can see that they were trying with the single-sided swing arm and the 2 drill discs up front with the dual piston and the single dual piston brake and back. I just love this bike. It handles like a dream, and it's finished. You know, you can get on it and go ride it. So there it is, 4 million won or best offer depending on when I have to leave the country. Thanks a lot.